Katrina strengthened into a hurricane on August 25, 2005. And as it gained force over the warm Gulf waters, it was quickly predicted to become a catastrophic event.
This is a terrible storm. Take this seriously.
I left work early the Friday before Katrina because my sister was getting married the next day, and I had to go to Mandeville. So I packed up just what I needed to go spend the weekend and get all that done, the wedding and stuff. And it was that Friday night that I got a call that, Katrina was coming towards us. And so by the time Saturday we did the wedding, there was no going home. That was it. What we had is what we had.
Well, I think by nature I'm kind of impatient, so I'm thinking about, okay, now we've left, we've reached a destination, when can we leave and go home? And when we do go home, what are we going to find? Well, television let us know very quickly what we were going to find.
And I lived in St. Bernard Parish in Chalmette, which we took on 30 feet of water. The water went over the roof of my home. So there was nothing to save. And all we had was what we left with when we packed up to go spend the weekend at my sister's.
We started KW Cares in 2003. Well, Katrina hit and we had $200,000 in the bank. I knew we needed a whole lot more money. And I did the calculations and I felt like we needed $5 million like by tomorrow morning.
I was in a place where nobody was receiving calls. My phone rang. It was Mo. She said in that sweet little Oklahoma accent of hers, "Darling, don't worry about a thing. We're going to make sure that you don't fail."
And I knew they would have a lot of fear about what was going to happen in the future. Could they carry on? And I knew they were so concerned about their people, and of course they all knew we were trying to help find everybody.
And we had agents that just didn't have cars. We had agents that people still primarily use desktop computers. So they didn't have any way to communicate. And I think that not being able to communicate with the outside world is perhaps one of the most helpless things. And if you had a 504 area code, your phone almost never could ring, even when you were in another city.
Through texting, which was brand new, some of the agents looked at their phones and thought, "What's going on?" because they didn't know what texting was. And we found every single agent. I got a call one day from Bob Kalinsky, and that precious guy had grown up in New Orleans. So he had a special compassion and pain in his heart for what the suffering that was going on. And he said, "Mo, why don't we do a heart-to-heart program?" And I said, "Okay, Bob, tell me what that means." And he said it simply means that any market center who would like to could adopt a family in New Orleans, because there will always be ongoing needs.
The support that the Keller Williams family gave across the country was nothing short of incredible. And you would have Mo and Mary Tennant at Mega Camp going and raising money in the mastermind rooms. But you also had offices and teams and agents all across the country adopting agents.
The acts of kindness were, they never ended. They just kept happening.
Keller Williams being there, the heart-to-heart. I had to get my son in school. He had no clothes. He had no school bag, no nothing.
But we had an agent in California. That market center bought a car. He drove the car to New Orleans and gave it.
When we evacuated, we were able to stay at our regional director's home, and you know, sleep in a real bed, eat at a real table.
Heart to Heart really helped out. They sent gift cards, but they were just there to also listen and just to help you through it emotionally, and not just financially, but emotionally. To have that in your, someone there to help you like that was just amazing.
When we did find a place to live on a temporary basis, one of the KW Houston agents actually flew to our family automobile and drive it to where we were. You know, that's the kind of thing that I don't forget.
My father and I returned to New Orleans on September 9th, and we were able to get a pass from the governor's office that allowed us to drive through the entire city. And what we saw was awful, it was heartbreaking, it was hopeless.
You know, the storm definitely made a few people think, you know, should I do this again? Should I go back there? But the blow of the storm, at least for the Keller Williams family of agents that we have and had, that blow was softened immeasurably.
I knew there was a lot of work to do, and I knew that I had to stay home that semester and help be a part of rebuilding New Orleans.
It's a mess. It's not flooded. The walls are standing. However, there was a roof problem, and that roof problem was making everything wet on the inside.
I flew in, landed, and I suddenly thought, am I in a movie set? There wasn't an animal to be seen. There were no people. It was totally desolate. Cars in ditches, buildings, you know, where the windows were broken. And
one of the things, you know, I learned in getting back and having to get back to business was that we needed people, we needed staff. And staff was staff was either gone or had received a lot of negative impact from the storm. Holly, who was our receptionist, probably had the worst situation at her home, which was a loss, unfortunately. And Holly was kind enough to jump into the breach to become our MCA, which, you know, at that time, it was all about the people. It was about finding our people. It was about getting our business back up and running again. And Holly had some experience with that, and she was a champ, and to this day still is.
I finally came back and was able to go to Mandeville and start working on all of the transactions and helping the agents with their businesses, which was stressful. And at the time, I didn't even have a home to live in. We had an event, and Mo came in to visit us all, and in that little voice, once again, darling, you're already doing the job, you might as well take the job. So the next day, I went into the office and I said, okay, I'll do it. And here I am, 20 years later, still doing it.
I believe Katrina defined KW Cares. It became very clear to me how untrained we were, and that we better get on the ball, because hurricane season, fire season, tornado season probably could cause us to have maybe 4 or 5 disasters at one time.
What I learned during Katrina not only taught us how to return from Hurricane Ida, but the Keller Williams response from Keller Williams in Austin and the entire Keller Williams family across the country was nothing short of staggering. KW Cares put over $2.3 million into the New Orleans area, helping Keller Williams agents and their families recover from that storm and quickly get back on their feet.
The higher purpose of business is to give, care, and share.
And while we've been recipients of way more than we've given, we are honored to pay it forward and to make sure that anyone in the Keller Williams family is supported when they need it.
Doing Heart to Heart and having KW Cares is the result of having culture. That wouldn't happen if you didn't have compassionate hearts.
And I'm incredibly grateful to all the people who give every transaction, give every year to make sure that this safety net is there for the 150,000 plus agents of Keller Williams.
The Keller Williams experience for me has been life-changing on many levels. The Katrina response, the Heart to Heart program, the profit sharing, you know, how the company's run. People like Mo Anderson, who taught us all a lot.
When I reflect back, Keller Williams made all the difference in my life, in my kids' life.
Gave me a shift in the way I'd been thinking. Because first, it's, you know, your family.
Everyone out there that gave during Katrina, that supported our agents and gave their time, gave their efforts, thank you so much.